I regularly seek out credible news sources outside corporate media, and Real News is one source I've come to rely on.
In a heartbreak defeat for the gay rights movement, California voters put a stop to gay marriage this Tuesday by voting in support of Proposition 8.
The anguish that our community feels nationally is overwhelming, and we are not going to take this lightly, and we are not going to go away.
Proposition 8 calls for the amendments of the California state constitution. Its aim, overturning a California Supreme Court decision and eliminating same-sex marriage. Senior legal counsel for Lambda, Jenny Pizer, believes the issue of same-sex marriage should not be a ballot question.
The way our system of government is supposed to work, the majority doesn't take a vote on whether the minority should have the same rights that the majority enjoys. That's what the Equal Protection Guarantee is supposed to do. Everybody should have the same equal rights. That's what the Equal Protection Clause is about. That's what it's supposed to guarantee. It's not okay to be having the majority vote on whether the minority should have rights. And a constitutional democracy does not permit that kind of a vote, and that's why we've filed a lawsuit, and we're going to be arguing about this in the California Supreme Court.
California's constitution can be changed in two ways. An amendment or small change requires a number of signatures that equals 5% of the previous gubernatorial election and a public vote. Approval is then granted by obtaining a majority plus one vote. A revision, a more substantive, fundamental, and structural change, requires legislative approval of both houses by a supermajority before going to the voters for approval.
The reason we have these two different systems is when we have major important elements of the Constitution, they're intended to endure, to be stable, and not to be readily changeable on a whim. Because otherwise, we don't really have a Constitution. It doesn't serve the function of being a Constitution, which is to set a structure that has staying power. If you're going to change equal protection that way, you've really changed something fundamental in our Constitution. That's the argument. It should be seen as a revision.
Despite the amendment receiving a 52% vote in support of Proposition 8, the final count from absentee ballots is still to be determined. Jenny Pizer believes the manner in which the issue of gay marriage was framed during the election was troubling.
The campaign that was waged against gay people in order to push people to vote for Proposition 8 had some very disturbing, misleading aspects to it. We tried to explain this doesn't have anything to do with education policy. It's not true, as the Prop 8 people said, that this is going to require that there will be certain things about marriage taught to elementary-age children. I mean, that's just not true. There's no such requirement. And it's just not true that churches will be at risk for becoming taxed, for losing their tax-exempt status if they refuse to perform marriages for gay and lesbian couples. That's nonsense. But these things were said with these advertising campaigns that were bankrolled millions and millions of dollars of advertising that scared people.
Despite an uphill battle, Pizer is confident in the principle of her legal argument.
We all actually have a shared commitment, a shared need to have that equality guarantee enforced. A creation of an exception, which is really a tearing of the equal protection fabric, is such a big change that it should be seen as a revision, not an amendment, and therefore what was done with Prop 8 was not valid and should be tossed out. And if the people who are so passionately concerned about whether other people get to marry each other, if they really want to try again, that they should try again, but they should use the correct procedure.
There are times when reality just asserts itself. In spite of the haze created by television news and entertainment, sometimes crisis rips a tear in the fabric of myth and propaganda. Now a profound economic crisis has ripped asunder the American dream itself. Millions of people losing jobs and homes. They lack proper health care and any real sense of security. Since 2001, workers' wages have fallen or remained stagnant, even though worker productivity has risen almost 33%. By 2006, the top 1% of households were receiving 23% of all pre-tax income, more than double what it was in the 1970s. It's the greatest concentration of income since 1928. As unemployment rises, we need to know why this crisis is happening and what we can do to defend ourselves. Why are wages so low? Why is the society so laden with debt? Is it in ordinary Americans' interest to have a $1 trillion military budget to project power across the globe? Corporate television news won't ask these questions, let alone try to find answers. Only a truly independent news network can tackle these questions with courage and with ordinary people's interests in mind. We need a news network that's independent of corporations, governments, and political parties. We need the real news. But there won't be a real news network unless we raise substantial funds right away. The current financial crisis has hit our funding hard. Together, we do have the power to turn it around. There are already hundreds of thousands of people watching the real news every month. If everyone pitches in, we can build an internet and cable television network that will change the face of media forever. You can organize house parties, talk to friends at school and at work, send email blasts and spread the word. Distribute this video to everyone you know. Pick up the phone and call a few friends and suggest they visit therealnews.com. Invest just 10 minutes a day to ask friends and colleagues to join the campaign to create a truly independent source of internet and television news. Together, we can build this network. Just 50,000 people at $10 a month gets us to our first level of sustainability. You can help us reach this goal, and when we do, we'll move to television in millions of homes across North America. Help us reach an audience in the millions. Please contribute generously. Spread the word. Let's make the Real News television network a reality.
Your tax-deductible donation makes it possible. Please contribute at therealnews.com.